in a sense. All right, Matt, bring Matt up. Hey, everybody.
Hey!
Matt. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Oh, not much. I don't think you met this guy last time. This is Pulse. Ray, I don't know where Ray is. I think he's sick and asleep. I don't know. So,
I was going to say, I thought, wasn't Ray like one of the hosts?
Yeah, he still is. He told me earlier he might not come on, but then he said he is coming on, but now he just didn't show up. So I'm thinking he isn't feeling great and he just fell asleep. That's what I'm assuming. So he's probably fine. I'm assuming. I sent him a bunch of, hey, are you alive? And I haven't heard anything. So
is this out of character for him, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's happened before, but I mean, in 280 episodes, this is maybe the third or fourth time it's happened. So not that bad.
All right.
So
how's
anyway,
my
man,
audio?
how
How do I sound, guys?
You sound fine. You sound
Okay.
good. Appreciate you coming back, man. Last time you were here, we talked about a lot of stuff that you're into and the movies and films you've been doing and the film combat stuff. And I know we talked about MMA movies and how a lot of them suck. And now you're trying to change that, I heard.
Well, yes. I mean, I guess, yeah. In one sense, sure. But yeah, let me just talk about what I got going on. So,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we are currently in pre-production for a feature film entitled GATLING. All right, and we're going to actually start rolling cameras next month. This is based. I'll give you the quick synopsis of the story. It's about an MMA fighter who retires due to the recent death of his young daughter, and something happens that I don't want to spoil, but he gets pulled back into the ring to fight again. So it's a tough story because we're talking about like that death of a child, which is like a very serious shit, obviously, but. It's a story of loss and grief, but it's also a story of hope. And it's a drama, but there's going to be some heavy MMA influence in it. There's going to be our whole final set piece, which is the last roughly 20 to 25 minutes of the movie, is in an MMA arena where we're going to basically show like Rocky style, like the whole 5 rounds of the fight in great detail, like hard hitting MMA action. So yeah, that's what we got going on. We are rolling cameras starting next month, and then we're going to roll all throughout the summer up into August, primarily in Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Akron area.
That sounds awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you because I know you've been trying to get something like that off the ground for a while. So what's the process like right now? Like, what are you doing right now to get ready for this?
So the origins for this started actually like many years ago. Now, and I'm going to get a little, I know like our vibe here is like fun and all that shit, but I'm going to get a little like serious for a second. Just to give you like I said, the genesis of how this story was crafted. So I wrote it and I'm directing it. I've been involved in film and acting for 25 years. In addition to martial arts, I started martial arts right around the same time. So these are my 2 biggest passions, movies and martial arts. Obviously, as you can see, I own Paragon Martial Arts and Fitness in Akron. We have an adult martial arts program that has mixed martial arts, self-defense influence. We also teach Brazilian jiu-jitsu there. But so yeah, that's like, this is what I do as a career. And then my other passion, my creative passion is in the arts, in specifically filmmaking. So anyways, a handful of years ago, a 10-year-old student of mine passed away. And one of the ways that I handle grief and I handle kind of tough times is writing, whether it's in a journal, writing, it's just like we all do as artists. Like you take the shit in your life and you use it for creative fuel, whether it's comedy or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So anyways, I, last year, early in the year, I started writing, just writing, just getting some of these feelings out. And all of a sudden things started to kind of take shape. And I always wanted to make a mixed martial arts movie. I've done combat in films and everything, but I've never done like an MMA movie. I've never done a boxing and some sort of combat sport movie. And I've always wanted to. I've been a big fan of the UFC since UFC 1. So I was like, man, I got to do something. I need to like merge these two things. So these two ideas kind of just came together. They coalesced. I'm like, oh my God, this story actually would make sense. So I started writing this movie. It was a great way for me to like work through some of the grief and the trauma and shit that I was going through and get it out on paper. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there were days where when I was writing, I was literally crying writing scenes. So it was really tough, but the process has felt great. It's felt really cathartic to let these emotions out. So anyways, started writing that last summer. And then I decided, hell, let's just make this a movie. Let's do this. I've always wanted to direct. I always wanted to make movies. I've been involved, like I said, in acting for 25 years. I've done, a couple dozen films as an actor. I've done a handful of short films as myself. So I said, hell, let's do this. Let's take a leap of faith and let's direct something. So once the script was finalized, I started getting a crew and being in the Cleveland film scene for X amount of years. I've got to know a lot of really talented people, cinematographers, directors of photography, producers, the whole thing. So I've gathered a team, and we've also been trying to raise funds because making a movie is expensive as hell. Just to like cover your ass in terms of paying talent, paying crew, and feeding everybody, it costs a lot of money. On top of that, if you want to make your movie look good, you have to pony up. So we actually are 10 days into our Indiegogo campaign. So Indiegogo is a crowdfunding platform we're utilizing, and we're at 20%, technically 21% funded as of today. Our goal is to raise $12,000, and we're about 2,600 in with 50 days left. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. And, it's weird because it's one of those things, it's scary because this movie, I'm entering into the world of the unknown, but at the same time, it's exciting, and I'm a risk taker. I like taking risks and putting myself out there and, stepping outside of my comfort zone. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about, or a lot about, Gatling.
Hey man, I'm happy for you. Number one, good for you for taking the leap, man. Because I'm one of those people that I have a bunch of ideas. I think about stuff. I've written a bunch of stuff, but I'm terrified to do anything. Right? I made one short one time, like a while ago, and it was hard and it was fun and it was okay. But ever since then, I've been terrified. But I mean, I couldn't even imagine a feature. I mean, what are some of the issues you're dealing with right now before in pre-production?
Yeah, I mean, so like the thing is, yeah, you're right.
Just like the money thing.
Well, yeah, that's big. I'll get to that in a second. But just to like piggyback what you were saying, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the way I tell people is like the world doesn't want your movie made, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is like there's just so much shit that's stacked against you when you're going to do something like this, mm-hmm. right? Time, people's schedules, money, like it's a tough thing, especially when you're like what we call ultra low budget indie filmmakers. We're basically, we're paying people, don't get me wrong, but it's like, none of us really do this full time. So how do we do that? How do you balance also running a business, having a career, having a family life, and doing this film thing? So that's like a big thing, just making sure that everything is balanced, everything is how it needs to be. But yeah, I mean, it's a big risk, no doubt about it. But the good thing is, like I said, in being in the Cleveland film scene for the last 12, 13 years, I've gotten to know, like I said, some of the really talented people. And that's like when you surround yourself with really smart, talented people, like it helps allay some of those fears. And I got a great team that every single one of them is vetted. Every single one of them I've worked with, and I feel like we can trust, we can lean on each other in these moments of trial. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is my first feature. I may fall on my face and smash my face and be like, oh, well, but at least I tried. I'm the kind of person, like, I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to be on my deathbed, shitting myself going, oh my God, I wish I would have made a movie. It's like, well, hell, I'm going to do it and we'll see what happens. And if it sucks, it sucks. If it's awesome, it's awesome, whatever. But it's going to happen. It's an itch that I need to scratch no matter what. Doesn't mean there's not going to be issues. There's already all kinds of issues. Scheduling is a big one. Mm-hmm. Locations, You know, we need to find locations to make this shit look great. Well, guess what? You got to pay for those. You got to make sure you find the right ones. So there's so many like logistical things that go into making movies that people don't understand. People just throw it on, you go to movie theater, watch, throw it on TV like there. But there's a whole world, there's a whole like universe that goes into making that come alive. And that's the key. Like if you surround yourself with a talented people that can help, that believe in your vision, then you can like hopefully weather some of these storms that pop up. And I think we got a great team. Now we're in the process of, all right, let's get this shit started. We're going to reroll cameras here in a month. Let's raise some money and let's make this happen.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I have a couple questions if I could for Matt.
Of course.
Yeah.
Did I read right? You're originally from the UK?
Not me.
Where are you looking up? You from another guy named Matt Kane?
It must have been another writer-director named Matt Kane. Okay,
sure, right.
So you're originally from the Cleveland area?
Yeah, born and raised in Akron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you looked up, were you on IMDb by chance?
Yes, there's another Matt Kane, and I think it says he has dual citizenship. He's from Bristol, United Kingdom.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. He's right above. I'm number 2 on the IMDb charts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was English though. But no, yeah, that's funny.
Okay.
Well, maybe you just need to do better than him, Matt. Maybe that's what you have to do.
This is what Gatling's the vehicle so that I can become number 1.
The number 1 Matt Kane on
IMDb. That's all I care about. That's all I care about.
And then my second question was, say I had an idea for a movie. Like I respect all writers, what you guys do. But if I had an idea for a movie but didn't know how to to write a script, what would your advice be as far as like it's the structure of a script? How can I go about doing that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There are a lot of resources nowadays. Thank God. I can only speak to me, and I'm not like, I didn't go to college. I didn't, I'm not even say I'm a screenwriter by trade. That being said, I've always had a proclivity for writing, for creative writing. And ever since I was a kid, like my mom has, like, I would make these little books where I would just write. I would make up characters and write them. So I've always had, a knack and, like, I guess, an interest in writing. But what I did when I decided, hell, I wanted to really take filmmaking more serious, is I would ask people that I respected, people that I trusted, their opinion, and I would, I was obviously Google. I would look up my favorite directors and who were they influenced by. Guy, and Tim knows him. One of my best friends, is how actually I know Tim, is comedian Chris Clem. And, Chris is, he's a really smart guy, screenwriting guy too. And, I would ask him, I remember asking him, like, what are some really good books? And he referenced a couple of good books. And one of them is a book called Story by a guy named Robert McKee. And he actually has 3 books now: Story, Character, and Dialogue. And I read each one. I've read each one of those 3 times. And the third time I was reading through them, I basically did it with Gatling in mind. So like, there was like a bunch of creative exercises you can do. And I just used this movie as that like creative vehicle for that. So I guess to answer your question is like, just get some resources, ask some people, look it up. There are, there's a screenwriting, format you have to follow and stuff like that. Yes, but in terms of like the DNA of a script, I would say, Robert McKee's book, there's Sid Field's book. Why can't I remember the name of that book? But anyways, it's a really popular book. There's also like some other ones called like Save the Cat that are screenwriting books and they're just really good source material. Another thing too is just reps. Just like try it. Just write the shit down, and you can even submit stuff online. There's certain websites you can go to. Now people may rip your script apart, but you'll learn, you'll grow. It's like having a trainer for like, if you're having a coach for mixed martial arts, if you're saying you're dropping your hand, when you're throwing your hook, well, it's the same thing, with like writing a script. He'll say, hey, this sucks, do this better. So that's kind of what I did, trial and error. And again, I can say I'm not, you know, a screenwriter. I wouldn't even call myself that. I'd say I'm a filmmaker, but I definitely followed certain formats that I feel like were successful, and I try to emulate that. And you know, you can actually look up too. Now that I'm thinking about this, there's a bunch of like really famous scripts online, like Terminator. The James Cameron script is online. You can look that up, and it's like free. So you can look up a bunch of scripts and just kind of like, you know, and the more you read, the more you write, the better you get.
Okay. Are you gilded? Are you like a member of SAG?
No. So yeah, that's a great question. So this is a non-union feature film, right? So meaning basically we're not following the Screen Actors Guild guidelines. That being said, you know, we're going to do the best we can to follow those things. But financially, we don't have the money to be SAG, because there are like, you got to pay your actors X amount, your crew X amount, and we wouldn't be able to make a movie for that. That being said, we try to get as close as we can to SAG financially, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the like a little while ago when the writers went on strike, that didn't affect you, or
no? So yeah,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is no. Since we're an independent film, we don't abide by SAG guidelines. Now, if we were SAG, if we were saying, hey, we're going to be a SAG feature film, then yeah, we would have to abide by those. But it's also good practice as a filmmaker just to, like, you know, try to follow those guidelines as best you can. But it's just not, when you're like a mom and pop, it's just not as practical. Like, you just can't afford to do that. Doesn't mean we're not professional. Like, we're going to be a super professional set, but just we won't be SAG.
Yeah, Paul, so you can just make a movie. Like, it costs money. I mean, you could just, you can make a movie with your iPhone.
And that's the thing nowadays. Like, maybe, you know, like 20, 25 years ago, yeah, you'd have to buy film, which costs a lot of money to make something. But bro, like, your iPhone shooting in 6K, you know, whatever, you can make something. And that's really what it is. Like I said, you know, I started making shit when I was 10 years old. I would make, they'll never see the light of day, but like me and my buddies, you know, as kids in middle school, we would make movies. They were stupid as shit. They didn't make any sense, but it was like, oh, you know, like the gear started spinning, and that's really what it is. And typically how it goes if you want to make movies is like, get on set as an extra. Like, I've been on extra in some Hollywood movies that would come to town here, connect with other filmmakers, and then make your own shorts. Like, start with a short, even if it's like a couple minutes, right? It's something, you know, and then it's like this, you just kind of constantly level up, you know, you just kind of go up, you know, as time progresses, as your skills get better. So, and that's, like I said, that's kind of what I did. And I can only kind of speak to from my experience, what I've seen, you know, what I've done.
Paul, have you seen a movie script before? Any movie script?
Well, yeah, like, so I know that there's a certain structure. There's like a first, second, and third act, you know.
I'm just gonna say, just read. If you see a script, like you said, today you could download scripts. You look at them, you'll be like, oh, that's how you do it. It's not, you know, it's not hard. I mean, the format part, isn't hard. I mean, being good, of course, is hard, but you know, the format part I'm talking about,
yeah, like anybody could write a script, but not anyone could write a good script. You know. So
can AI just do it now?
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that shit. Don't get me started.
Let's do it now. I mean, we're all terrified, but we were just talking about AI music. Did I make there's this site Pseudo makes these awesome songs that sound like people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, once, and you know, we were talking about Terminator, so this is apropos. Like, my philosophy with AI is, once you hit that button, it's over. Like, it's too late. Meaning, I think eventually AI will it'll take over everything. I don't know if we'll have, you know, robots that'll enslave us, but once we've fiddled with it, I feel like it's going to be too late. But from a creative standpoint, the thing is, I don't know if you've seen, like, you can even make AI movies. You can make AI. Right. They lack. The thing is, the AI in general, like, I utilize AI for my business. I use it to like help stimulate ideas, but I would never use it to replace the creative process, because it never can, because it's AI. It's not human. So you see these scripts, you see, these images, and they're fine and dandy, but they lack that human touch. They lack that emotion that us as humans, that we inject into something to make it art. And that's the problem with AI, is it's devoid of that. It's getting better. It's scary how good it gets, but I don't think it's ever going to get to the level where it's going to be replacing that human touch.
I mean, it's a tool, and I think a lot of screenwriters moving forward will use it if they're and it's stuck. If they're stuck,
exactly,
or something, for a jumping off point or whatever. But there was a pretty big ruling recently that a judge said that you can't copyright AI stuff.
That's right.
I'm sure people are going to be like, "Well, I wrote this," and like, "All right, did you though?" But
like I said, I've utilized it. I've used ChatGPT and AI
I
before. Yeah. It's great to, like you said, to stimulate, right? Just to like get it going. Like if you throw in a prompt and you'll say, "Okay, give me an idea for a movie," and it might suck and be derivative, but like, wait a sec, and it could start the creative juices a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's like AI is a great utility for sure.
I put a couple just like movie ideas I had in the ChatGPT and like, grab me a treatment for something like this, and it would come up with some ideas. I'm like, I like this idea, I don't like that idea, but it was neat. It's neat.
Yeah,
bro. Tech is ruining every industry. It did it to music, and I feel like, it's like,
eventually there's just going to be like villages all over America where people just like hide from technology. We're going to be those.
I heard that I've heard that people who are extras in movies, they don't even hire them anymore because they can just fill you in with an AI generated photo or something.
Well, that was one of the things with the SAG strike, was they basically they were saying they were going to do this to the extras, is they would scan you, and then it's like, bye, we can use you in perpetuity now. Once we have your likeness, fuck you, we're not paying you. So that was something that SAG was able to get in their contract, where no, if you're going to use my likeness, you need to pay me. Because you got to remember, guys, like all these large corporations, and that's all these studios are, is they're large corporations. All they care about is profit and growth. That's it. And they prove that time and time again. If they can cut their losses and maximize their profits, they're going to do that. That's why you have movies that went, like, what was that, Batgirl? That movie never came out. Why? Because they were going to make more money by cutting it than by distributing it. It's wild. But that's the thing. These studios don't give a shit. The studio system does not give a shit about you. I would argue they don't even give a shit about the creative process. They care about making money because they're a large corporation, and that's what runs the world, baby.
Right. It's why you see the same shit all the time too. I was telling those guys, I saw The Beekeeper today, the Jason Statham movie.
Right.
And it was fine. But I mean, I'm like, this is John Wick. It's basically John Wick. It's just a guy, a retired assassin who wanted to live a simple life, but then you piss him off, and now he's going to kill everybody.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing, is these stories are very formulaic because these studios can predict. Okay, get my star, Jason Statham. Get this derivative story that we've seen 100 times again, the revenge tale, and we can predict our projections financially. It's going to make this, and this, and that's what they do at the end of the day. And is it devoid of artistic merit? Maybe. Like I heard Madam Web, the new Spider. I heard that is just like a giant train wreck, that it's so bad that people want to see it because it's that bad. But again, it's like warmed up leftovers that studios are going to pop out because it's an established IP, and it's like, well, here it is, we'll throw it at you. Whereas bringing it full circle, I feel like Gatling is an original story. Yes, there's some, there's a little bit of the revenge element in there. There's certain things, there's a Rocky-esque feel to it. There's enough that people are familiar with, but it's also a unique enough story that it's not going to be run of the mill. You're going to feel, when you see Gatling, you're going to feel something. And that's really all I care about, is at the end of the day, when you watch something as an artist, when you give of yourself, that you impact somebody. And that's really what we care about, man. So when people see Gatling, that's my goal, is they feel moved, whatever emotion it is, they feel something.
Now, you said you've been out to Hollywood and you worked on Hollywood sets before?
No, so I have been on Hollywood sets here in the Cleveland area.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, I was an extra in a few different films that have been here. Like there's White Boy Rick, that was here. That was the Matthew McConaughey movie that was they filmed in Cleveland in 2018. Is that one? Yeah, 2018. There's a bunch of films that have been here. Avengers, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Fast and Furious. Like, there's a bunch of those that I jumped on just as like an extra.
I think they're doing Superman too.
They were telling me White Boy Rick was set in Detroit, but actually filmed in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So, and yeah, there's Superman movies coming here. James Gunn directed the Superman reboot. That's going to be actually filming this summer in Cleveland. I have a few friends that hopefully will be involved in that. But yeah, like I wanted to jump on these sets, and I still will jump on set occasionally as an extra when I get a chance, just to like see how the giant machine spins. Just to like, okay, this is interesting. This is how this is going, because then it helps inform me. As a director, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Like Abraham Lincoln, one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Abraham Lincoln. He said, he never met a man who he didn't meet something from. He never met a man who he didn't learn something from. But most of the time it was what not to do. So like on these sets, I saw some shit from some of these directors. I'm like, I would never do that. Like one of the directors on White Boy Rick, I don't give a shit. I'll say this. Like some of the extras were talking, he just lit into everyone. Everybody shut the fuck up now. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to make a fucking Hollywood movie. Shut the fuck up. Like that, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's taking himself way too serious. Mm-hmm. It was really funny. But I get it. When you're making a Hollywood movie, every second you're losing, the execs are breathing down your neck. And if we're taking an extra couple of minutes because people are talking, I get it. But maybe you can handle that a little bit differently.
I also wanted to ask. So you're from Akron originally, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so all of us, we're all millennials, so we all grew up around the same time frame. I gotta ask, you being a native of Akron, how do you feel about LeBron James?
That's about LeBron James, really?
Hello? Who's that? Never heard of him.
Who?
It's funny. It's funny because. And I'll have to come back on another time because I don't think, Tim, I've ever told you this story. When I was this close to being cast on Survivor a few years ago.
Oh, really?
I'll tell that story next time I come on. Anyways, one of the questions they asked me when I was at CBS Studios talking to the showrunners and producers is they're like, talk to us about LeBron. Like I'm his fucking buddy or something. But anyways, LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. He is I think I could argue that one of the greatest athletes of all time. He's great. What he's done for the city of Akron is awesome. Yes, my heart was broken because I am first and foremost a Cavs fan before a LeBron fan. So my heart was broken when he went, to South Beach and all that shit. But guess what? He also came back and helped win a championship to Cleveland. So I can't be upset at the guy. I would not say I'm a LeBron fan per se. I'm definitely a Cleveland Cavaliers basketball fan, but the fact that I'm from Akron and the greatest basketball player of all time is from Akron, that's pretty cool to me. But I'm not one of these guys that's, sucking his kneecaps. Oh, LeBron, we love you so much. Whatever. He's great athlete, awesome ambassador for the city. But yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Pulse, you're going to ask him about the soapbox derby next.
Oh, okay.
Or
how about the Black Keys? How about the Black Keys?
Black Keys, AA.
And the rubber industry?
Rubber. Goodyear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know all that was from Akron, Pulse?
No, I did not. I heard Superman was from Cleveland, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Where are you from?
I'm from South Texas, Houston area.
Oh, okay. Is that where you live currently?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, right on. South Texas. I'm trying to think. I've only been to Dallas.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where I'm originally from, Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. I tell you, when people ask if they've never been to Texas and we talk about Texas, I say, hey, what's Texas? Like I say, big. Driving through Texas on the prairies, it was just like, does this shit ever end? Oh, wait, here we go. Here's Dallas. We're here, because we were driving. I went to WrestleMania whenever it was in Dallas, however many years ago. And we were driving with Chris Clem and some Steve Guy, some other buddies, right? We drove from Cleveland down to Dallas. So when we were getting into Texas, it was like, oh, we're in Texas. I've never been. And it was just like, oh, it's just land everywhere. And then we get to Dallas and Dallas is a cool city. I like Texas. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there for a year, and actually, coincidentally, I live like an hour from where Pulse is.
Got it.
But yeah, if you drive in between cities, because I drive from like Houston to Austin once, it's just all fields until you get to the next city.
Yeah.
It's just,
which is similar to Ohio too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's just on a micro scale.
Right. Yeah.
Cornfield, Cleveland, cornfield, Columbus, cornfield, Cincinnati.
Yeah. Tennis stadium, Cincinnati. Yeah.
But you guys, you got any questions about Gatling? Because I want to, you know, this is I want
you to tell us everything you want to tell us about Gatling.
Okay, good. Well, it's like I said, it's an MMA, so you know,
that's what I want to ask.
This is Bo fucking Plata, right?
I know. This is what I was gonna ask. How do you do that? How do you So there's gonna be a whole separate thing where you got to choreograph these fights, right? How does that go? How do you start with that?
Right. Yeah, so we have a great team, stunt coordinator and fight choreographers, and our lead actor too, by the way, Jerry Sir. He doesn't really have any like formal martial arts training, but he's boxed a little bit, he's grappled a little bit, but he's a hell of an athlete. He's a great, you know, he's a stud, very physical actor. And, you know, I've been training, and I've trained with him a few times on and off throughout the last few years, but we've been training for the last 6 months in MMA, once or twice a week. We've been getting after it. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking. We've been doing the whole thing. I've obviously been involved in martial arts for 25 years. I've done a bunch of different martial arts. My main martial arts that I've done is kickboxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So those are like kind of the main babies that I've been involved with my whole life. So the martial arts stuff is kind of the easy, natural stuff for me. So yeah, we've been training really hard with that. We got a great team of guys that have done MMA, have trained in MMA. And the other thing too, and this, I want to throw this out there, is we are still in need of our final set piece. So if there's any MMA promotions, I've been talking to a couple that maybe want to partner with our film, show off their brand, you know, help, we can, you know, partner up, utilize, you know, kind of their space, their ring, their, you know, their promotions as well. And we can, you know, highlight them in the film. We would love to do that. So if there's any MMA promoters in ideally the Northeast Ohio area that are looking for maybe a little more exposure, we can help each other out. You know, hit me up. You know, Matt Kane.
I mean, there's a perfect one. I don't know if you talked to him yet, but Cage Thunder would be perfect.
Yeah, so Cage Thunder is on my list to reach out to. And I don't know if you have any connections, but yeah, please. If anybody has any connections with any of these promoters,
yeah,
we would love to.
I don't know the names of the promoters, but I know the main matchmaker who works with them. So I could ask him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, they're a good promotion. A lot of my friends fight for them, and they like it a lot. And they fight, most of their fights are at Chaparral Center in Akron, which is a little bingo hall. But
cool, right on. I'm gonna have to, you know.
I was gonna ask you about that. I'm like, what your plans were for the fight scenes? What are you gonna do? I mean, are you gonna shoot it away that you need extras? And like, how do you? I mean, man, because that would be the hard for an independent film. That'd be the hardest, right?
Yeah,
to have like a full. Man, that sounds difficult.
Yeah, very. That's the logistical issues that you run into when you're making films. Is like, we want this to look, and what I've been telling people is like, this isn't the UFC. We don't have that budget. You know, not even Bellator. Like, we're talking like these guys can make a living doing this. You know what I mean? But it's not the MGM Grand. We're not fighting, you know, we're not selling out arenas. We're talking like, you know, more not a fucking backyard in Miami. But you know, we're talking something a little higher up, kind of middle of the road promotion. But at the same time, it should feel a little bit like a little underground feel to it. But yeah, have
you been to Chaparral? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but have you been to Chaparral Center?
I've not.
That'd probably be a good spot. That's where they do all their fights, and it's a bingo hall. They just set chairs up, but they have top pro guys fight there. I mean, guys who've had 10, 11 wins, and it's a good spot. And it's the only thing is, I mean, they sell 1,000 tickets, so when it's there, the people are packed in there. Yeah. But it's I think that, and you know what, it's open a lot of the times. Talk to Cage Thunder, but I think you could probably get that building. I guess you could.
I will reach out to them. Thanks. But yeah, from a logistical standpoint, we're going to film for probably 3 days on the final sequence, and the final sequence is essentially this. It's like it's like a pay-per-view. So there's going to be an undercard. There's going to be a handful of fights that we're going to just like show, some brief montage stuff, highlights. You should actually show some real MMA fighters just getting in there, and then there's the main event, 5-minute rounds between the two main characters. Our lead, Gabe the Gatling. That's the main character played by Jerry Sir, and then the villain. I've not mentioned who that is yet. I won't just yet. But anyways, they're going to have it's going to be a 5-round full fight. We're going to try to get as many extras as we can. The cool thing about when you're making a movie is you can cheat it. So like you can, instead of having 1,000 people, you might be able to get away with like 30, 20 to 30 and make it look like there's 1,000, so there's ways to cheat things when you're making a movie. But yeah, that's going to be the toughest logistical things. That's why it's going to be at the very end of our filming. July, August is when we're going to do it, so we can have as much prep plan time in place, because here's the things you got to take care of. Number one, location, like we talked about, extras, crew. Also, we want to make sure these fight scenes are badass. We want you to feel this shit. Okay, we're going to film it up close, personal. You're going to feel all of this stuff at the same time. We'll pull, so just like when you're watching UFC, you can see everything, but also it's a film. So there's going to be times where, we're going to be up doing close-ups, blood spitting out, teeth busted out and shit. So you're really in the cage. In this movie, you should feel like you, at the end, like you just went to war, like with these guys. You should feel all of it. That's the goal. So yeah, we got to go through we got to check all these boxes logistically to make sure it's, we're doing what we need to do. So yeah, it's tough. It's definitely a big undertaking, but and that's one of the reasons that we're doing a crowdfunder on Indiegogo, is so we can raise money to do all that. Most, a good portion of our budget is going for that final set piece, because it's going to be expensive. We're going to have to pay people. We're going to do all this stuff. And at the same time, we want to make it look professional and good, right? We want to ball on a budget, if you will.
Yeah, dude, I would definitely get a hold of. I'll try to get you the names of the guys for Cage Thunder, because all those things I'm thinking right now is how good that would be. Like, they have cards, so you could go in if you work with them or another promotion like them. Although they're an acro promotion, I feel like they'd be perfect. You can go in there during one of their cards and shoot B-roll. Or whatever, just all of that. And also, one thing I really like about any sports movie is when they pull back, because I feel like sometimes there's a cop out for sports movies when it's all close-ups.
Yeah.
And there's one director in particular, I can't remember his name. He did Warrior, he did Miracle, he did The Way Back with Ben Affleck. I can't think of his name. But all of his sports movies are all close-ups, and I'm like, it's like a cop out to me. Right.
Yeah, and
you want some, I'll get that, but I'm talking about you want.
Yeah. So I get it from like a directing standpoint. You pull in for the emotion, but you're right, and that's what I was talking about when I said we're going to be in, but we're also going to be back. And ideally, I want to pack that place and have it like pull back and be like, holy shit, yes, look, this is it. Look at this arena, and then also at the same time, we're going to have certain shots where we're replicating the camera angles that they have at mixed martial arts, cards. Right. When you watch UFC pay-per-view, yeah. So, and the cool thing is, let me shout out our DP, our director of photography, Mick Coons. He is a big MMA fan. So this was an easy. So when I say, hey, Mick, I got a movie for you. You wanna do it? And he's like, hey, what is it? And I go, well, it's an MMA movie. He's like, yes, I'm in. I'm a huge fan. So he already has a bunch of ideas how we're going to shoot this to make it look, like a legitimate MMA promotion.
Yeah, I years ago I thought about doing a documentary about amateur MMA in Ohio when it was the Wild West, and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
but I never did it. But I talked to these guys who I think I'm going to hook you up with, and they told me I could do it, but I never did it. So, yeah, my neighbor actually is a matchmaker for Cage Thunder, and all those guys. My friends, Andrew Law is a fighter. They all work with Cage Thunder, so I feel like talk to them. Maybe they won't be into it, but if they would, that'd help a lot, because they're a small promotion, but they do have some good pro fights. Their next card is at Pro-Am, and that's a pretty decent space. It's a little cramped, but it's a good place to watch a fight. And I mean, yeah, I can just think, you go in there, you shoot B-roll, and maybe even
Guys, am I still here visible on screen?
No, you're not.
Oh.
I thought you turned the lights off. Smile.
Taking a nap.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, Tim. Yeah, man. If you shoot me
I
that
will.
contact for sure. I
will.
They were on my list. Is on my to-do list coming up is to reach out to a few promotions, and they were at the very top of my list. So that'd be awesome.
I don't know how. I mean, there's not really that many in Ohio anymore. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's a handful in my research that are in this area. But yeah, they were. They were
look up Honor. I wouldn't ask them.
Okay, well, I won't know. So
they tried to have a card in Thanksgiving, and no one wanted to fight for them.
That's
so
tough.
I don't even know if they're ever going to have a fight. I don't think they're going to have a fight again, and they piss some people off. So I don't think they're going to be around any longer. But no, the one that does the most in this area is definitely Honor. Not Honor. Cage Thunder.
Cage Thunder. Yeah.
Like I said, my friends fight for them and stuff, and their shows are real good, and they try to learn from the mistakes that they made in other promotions and other people have made, and then they try to fix all them. So, but I feel like they'd be into it. As long as you could prove to them that you're legit, which you're a pretty serious dude, I'm pretty sure you could do that.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Yeah, I think that would work out for sure.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. So like to summarize, even though this is definitely a drama, because like we talked about the heavy source material that we're talking about when you lose a loved one, especially a child, that's some heavy shit for sure. But at the same time, I want to highlight these gladiators. I have so much respect for MMA fighters. Even you, Tim. I know you got in the cage, so I got mad respect for anybody that goes in there and you're risking shit, man. You're risking your life, honestly. There's people that have died on the canvas, so it's mad respect for you guys. I'm just acting like I'm doing this. You guys, the pro MMA fighters, even amateur, man, you guys, the shit you guys do, shit they do, I have so much respect for. And that's what I want to also convey to the audience is like, this isn't just like barbarians getting in there and beating the shit out of each other, right? These are humans. These are humans with feelings, emotions, and lives outside of the ring. Yes, they're gladiators in there, and that they're tough sons of bitches. But also at the same time, I want to show the whole dynamic of them as human beings as well, if that makes sense.
No, I get it. Some of the really crappy, like the Never Back Downs, or some of these really crappy MMA movies. One thing I don't like about them is that these people don't seem like people to me. I'm like, no one acts like that. That's weird. At least Warrior had some good characters, and I get that. Like a teacher who was a fighter, like I like that. But yeah, some of those movies, I'm like, this makes no sense. People don't act like that. I've never met any. I know a bunch of fighters, and none of them act like that.
Yeah, I only saw the first Never Back Down. I was like,
that's the only one I saw too. But there's a lot of crappy ones.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm good after seeing that. But anyways, you're right. I want to show that these are real people. So there's some real shit. These are real characters that are you can tell that are based off of kind of some lived experiences. But yeah, you're right. Like a lot of and with a lot of cheesy action movies, you get that. You get the like, oh god, they're characterizations instead of real people, instead of real characters, and we want to show real characters in this movie. We want to make sure these are people that's like, yeah, this is. So they're fucked up. They have issues. They have problems, just like all of us. They're going through shit, but at the same time, they're trying their best, and that's kind of the message of the movie. It's like life's tough. It sucks. Like really brutal and unfair. Guess what? They're fighters. What do fighters do?
Yeah, keep the cheese out of it, man.
No cheese, baby. No cheddar.
I know you need an antagonist, and I get that. You need like a guy. I understand that. But I'm like, some of those MMA movies, I'm like, man, what are they doing, man? And also, you'll see some stuff that even in the MMA, you're like, this makes no sense. None of this makes sense. I mean, even Warrior, they had like a 2-3 day tournament. I'm like, that could never work. No. Stuff like that. I'm like,
that's wild. Yeah, we're not doing
and that's probably the best one. That's probably the best MMA movie.
Yeah, and that's when people are asking, like, what is this movie like? And I hesitate to say Warrior, but it's like that's kind of the closest that we have.
Warrior's the best one, and it's not perfect.
Exactly. Now we do have Roadhouse that's coming out.
Hey, I was an extra in Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were there when they filmed for.
Like in the crowd.
Yeah, we're in the crowd.
Did either of you happen to see that Halle Berry one that went straight to Netflix?
Yeah, I did see it. And actually, you know what? It's probably the second best one. It's not bad. What's it called? Lighter? Not bad.
Yeah,
The
I
fight
agree.
scene's pretty good. I mean, I just can't get over there's like a part in the movie where Halle Berry's buying tampons. I'm like, she's 55. So I couldn't get over that, but
Yeah.
that's just me. I don't know. I know her character is like 35, but I'm like, she's 55. She's older than my mother. So it's true by like a week. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, that one's not bad. But I was talking about, oh, shoot, I had something. Nah, I don't remember.
Well, I had a question for Matt. I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask, coming up, like, what were some of your favorite movies and genres when you were, when you were a child?
Well, see, I came prepared because all I got to do is go like this.
Here you
go
go.
like that.
Here's you got.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can tell.
Point Break.
This is where I'm at right here. This is Point Break. It's my favorite movie of all time.
Well, the remake was better. I couldn't even say that with a straight face.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think you were serious. I was about to jump off right now and end this shit, but okay.
You ever notice
it's bad. It's real bad.
Keanu Reeves, in many of his movies, he's a character named John. Like he's Johnny Utah,
Sure.
John Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic.
John Wick. John Wick. He's the everyman, I guess. So yeah, this is my favorite movie of all time. And then, we got Enter the Dragon, right? Everybody loves that. So these are two of my favorite movies. I grew up watching action movies, and that's really what spurned, interestingly enough, bring this full circle. That's what spurred in my interest in martial arts and movies. Is I would growing up, and granted, probably watching some of these movies way before I should have, but I would like my dad. My dad was big in these movies. Steven Seagal. I watched all of his movies. Out for Justice, Marked for Death, Hard to Kill, Above the Law, Under Siege. I was really young watching those, so they left an impression on me. But I was a big fan of those. Big fan of Bloodsport, Kickboxer. All the Van Damme movies. Love that shit. Even Jackie Chan.
No, sorry.
Yeah, Breaking. Yeah, that's a classic. But all the Jackie Chan movies. I love Jackie Chan. I grew up on a steady diet as a kid, a steady diet of 80s and 90s action movies. That was like fed to me. That's what I was like, oh my God, Bruce Lee, I got to be like this. So that's why I started training martial arts, because I would watch these movies and I'm like, I want to be like these dudes. Like, how do I kick like that? How do I move like that? Can I do that? So those were big influences on me. That's what has like formed, a lot of in my life is those films, those movies, those actors and larger than life personalities and characters definitely molded and shaped who I am.
Same with me. That genre, all of those movies you mentioned, I loved them all. They were all great to me. But I gotta ask you now. You mentioned Bruce Lee. Have you seen the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, I've not.
Okay, well, in that movie, they made it seem like Bruce Lee.
Oh, wait. I lied. That's the Tarantino movie.
Yes.
I did that. Yes. That actually, I did see that.
Do you believe that he got...
It's a fictional movie, Pulse.
Okay, I'll give my take on it, because I do have an opinion. So, I would say that to a certain degree, yes. Now, remember, Hollywood, it's stylized realism, so they're definitely playing up stuff. So the main scene that you're referencing, where they had Bruce Lee be this like egotistical, like larger than life, like narcissist, is definitely overplayed. But that being said, if you like, I've done enough research. Like I was a Bruce Lee freak as a kid. Like I that's all I did was just it's over there somewhere, but I have like every single one of his books. I have every single one of his movies. Jeet Kune Do was the first martial art I ever did, because I was like, well, what did Bruce Lee do? Oh, wait, Bruce had his own martial art? Shit, I'm going to do that. So I trained extensively in Jeet Kune Do for many years. Anyways, in studying enough Bruce Lee, it's pretty well known that he definitely had an ego. I mean, you have to have an ego when you're in Hollywood, when you're making movies, when you're like that. I would say it's not to the degree that Tarantino was exploiting, and I know that pissed off Bruce's family. They were like, "What the fuck? Like that was his dad."
Do you believe it's possible that a stuntman picked him up and flung him into a car door? Like, I'm not
buying that.
Okay.
But I buy a little bit of the narcissism and the egomania for sure, but I don't think it was to that degree.
Yeah, no, I've heard that. I've heard that about him before. I mean, and I can believe it. I mean, I wasn't around at that time, but I feel like a lot of big time actors, they sort of develop that trait. When you kind of act like your shit doesn't stink when you know you're good.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's the thing when the world's telling you you're awesome and you're great, and what happens is it feeds that ego. It just makes it so strong that it's like, well, shit, I am awesome. I am great. And I don't think every celebrity is like that. I don't think everyone who's famous is like, I heard, speaking of Keanu Reeves, I heard he's the opposite of that. He's very humble, very nice guy. But, I don't know. I feel like the system almost creates, that persona. And it's like at the same time, I kind of understand it because it's like, well, I'm this, this public persona, I need to keep that image up, right? So I have to be this, right? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've heard the same thing about Keanu Reeves and Adam Sandler. I heard he's a very down-to-earth guy. He hasn't let the money go to his head. So, yeah, good on them.
And I heard Garth Brooks murders people. So, yeah, that's the opposite side.
Who murders people?
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks?
Yeah.
I know who he is.
No. It's a thing that comedian Tom Segura talks about in his podcast. But the truth is, if you watch any interview with Garth Brooks, you're like, wow, he was famous so long that he's no longer a normal person, and he's just super strange now. And you watch him perform; he's a great performer, but you're like, there's nothing behind those eyes. That guy's. He is a strange man. I'm not saying he actually kill people, but he's a strange guy. And I think it's because he was famous for so long. And I get it. I mean, if I was that famous for that long, I probably would be weird too.
I remember my mom was big into Brooks and Dunn back in the day.
Brooks and Dunn's the shit. I love Brooks and Dunn. I saw them live one time. They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. At Rodeo Houston, a long time ago.
Didn't Garth Brooks, didn't he have a pseudonym at one point?
Yeah. Chris Kane. And it's the funniest thing I think that's ever happened in country music. And he's talking about doing another one. Another Chris Gaines album, and man, I hope so.
Yeah, he kind of had an emo haircut, and
do it.
So I need to jump. I need to do some research on. I'm going to jump off, and when we're done with this, I'm going to look up some Garth Brooks interviews.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by this.
Yeah, you'll see the whole thing about Tom Segura's your mom's house. They're the kind of started it, and all his fans bombard him with where are the bodies, Garth? All messages. Wow. That's where it started, but he's 100% right. You watch any of his interviews, this guy is not a normal human being anymore. And I don't necessarily blame him because he's so ridiculously famous. Right. I get it. Not everybody can handle it, but he's a strange man for sure. Anyway, go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry. I just had one last question for Matt. So we spoke about Tarantino earlier. I was going to ask, who are some of your influences as far as directors coming up? Who did you like?
Yeah, great question. There's a lot of influences I've had. Like I said, growing up, action movies were my thing when I was really young. So, watching Terminator and James Cameron, that spectacle, that whole sci-fi world was very influential for me. But what's interesting is as I've gotten older, I'm the kind of person, I like weird cinema. I like weird shit too, in addition to, your tentpole big Hollywood movies. So influences from a directing standpoint, of late, I'm going to throw a name at you that most people haven't heard of, but I've been watching his whole filmography, is a German director named Michael Haneke. Okay. Most people haven't heard of him, but, he's most well known in the US for a movie called Funny Games, which they did a remake in 2007 with what is her name? What is it? Naomi Watts. You've ever heard Naomi Watts? That actress. Anyways, he's weird cinema, weird German cinema. It's very strange movies, but I dig them. I love them. In terms of other shit that has really influenced me, That's a good one because there's been like I don't even know where to begin because there's just so many directors. But Michael Haneke has been one. Like a modern director that I really like is and I always butcher his name, Denis Villeneuve. So he's most notably known for Dune, the Dune movies that are coming. That like he did the first Dune and the second Dune that's coming out very soon. He did Sicario, which is great. Blade Runner 2049.
Those are all great.
Every single movie I've seen of his is a banger, is a home run.
Dark as fuck too. Geez, all those movies are dark.
And that's I'm not speaking of dark. David Fincher.
Yeah,
Fincher is great. All his films I really dig. He's definitely influenced me. Like I just watched Gone Girl for the first time not that long ago.
You know what? Me too. I just watched Gone Girl a month ago for the first time.
It's fucking sweet.
Yeah, and then I saw the documentary about that case they call the real life Gone Girl, and they railroaded these people because they thought she pulled a Gone Girl, but she didn't. It was real, and it was.
Wow!
It's a Netflix documentary called American Nightmare. It's great.
That movie always cracks me up when Dookie Howser gets it when she slaps him.
Oh yeah, spoiler. Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris gets sliced.
Yeah. But outside of Denis Villeneuve, and David Fincher. Another one that I really enjoy, and what I just brain farted. Well, who was I talking about?
Directors.
P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson. Mm-hmm. There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, Inherent Vice. Licorice Pizza, which
I haven't seen that one though. I haven't.
That's okay. It's weird. I feel like Licorice Pizza is one of those movies. If you,
I Am Girl.
Yeah, if you were a California kid, you'd probably really like it. It was okay for me. It didn't really do too much for me.
It's funny. But a lot of times you see like hard carrot California references in TV or movies, and you're like, I'm from the Midwest. I have no idea what this is.
This means nothing to me. Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever.
Like, that's an out sketch called The Californians. I'm like, I don't get this at all.
Now that was fun because it was so over the top.
I get it, but I'm like, there's a lot of inside stuff I don't understand in this.
Right. But yeah, it's a great question. Those are some of my big three: P.T. Anderson, Denis Villeneuve, David Fincher. Those are some, and then I can throw some really obscure, like I said, Michael Haneke. There's like some really obscure ones that I could throw at you too. But those are kind of the big ones. I also too, I like Scorsese. I like your big
Kevin Smith. That's my favorite director.
Kevin Smith's great too. Like I'm one of those guys. It's hard for me to nail down a director because I like borrow a little bit from everybody. I'm like, ooh, I like how he did that. I'm gonna try that. That's kind of my take.
Yeah.
How do you feel about M. Night Shyamalan?
So, M. Night Shyamalan, the thing about his movies is, his movies remind me of this quote. And they say that, like, when you meet certain people, they say, love them or hate them, but you'll never forget them. That's how I feel like M. Night Shyamalan's movies are. Love them or hate them, you'll never forget them. Because they're either one of the worst things you'll ever see in your life, or they're like, damn, like that was actually really good. I mean, we could go down his filmography and say that.
I mean, he definitely started off strong with The Sixth Sense.
That guy is absolutely like a Joey Gallo type home run or strikeout, one or the other. He's either going to hit it out of the park or just whiff completely, and he's done both a lot.
Yeah. And you could go through his whole filmography and like almost alternating, like The Happening.
What did you feel about that? I like that movie.
Oh my god, it's so bad. It's so bad. The Village.
Yeah, Village. Knocking the Cabin. That's what was the new one.
Or no, not Cabin. I haven't seen that one.
That was not bad. Not bad.
Old. One of his newer ones. Yeah. Old. I've not seen that either. But
I won't watch Old. It weirds me out too much.
He did. Didn't he do Avatar?
No, that's Cameron.
Not Avatar. Not no. What was it?
Signs with
no.
Glass.
Avatar. No.
Last
Avatar.
Airbender.
No. He did a live action. Was it Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, Last Airbender. Yeah.
Yeah. Not. I know James Cameron's Avatar, but The Last Airbender. Like I've never saw that. I heard that's dog shit. But if you look at Signs, I liked Signs. I liked Sixth Sense. Unbreakable wasn't bad. Split.
Split's really good.
Didn't he do Split?
Yeah, he did Split. Yeah, Split and then Glass, which is
I didn't see Glass.
So that's like the sequel to Split and Unbreakable.
Yeah. But M. Night Shyamalan, man, like I said, Love him.
Lady in the Water, I like too. But I think I like Lady in the Water because Paul Giamatti's in it.
Never saw that.
Yeah. If you like Paul Giamatti, Paul Giamatti's awesome. So.
Right.
That was all right. I think we're gonna let you go, man.
Cool.
Listen, as someone who all the time has ideas for stuff, I love the fact that you're fucking going for it. I love the fact that you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, because I have a hard time doing that all the time. So I love that you're doing. I love that for you, man. I really hope it goes awesome. I will help you the way I can. I'll try to give that contact for Cage Thunder, because I think that would work great if those guys would be into it. I think they might be. Also, I mean, if you need, let me know when you need extras. If you need any contacts with fighters too. I know a bunch of fighters in the area. So like whatever you need, man, I'm here for you. Don't know how much I can help, but I can help you what I can. So I'll give you contacts, and I'm really excited for you, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. And
I was gonna say, this is a great conversation. It was nice to meet you, man.
Likewise, guys. Yeah, and hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. And I'll just finish off saying again, people can check out our Indiegogo campaign. Just look up Gatling in there, MMA drama. You can, even if you don't contribute, like I would never pressure people to contribute, I get it. But if you can, great. We have some awesome perks. For as little as $5, you can actually help. You can have your name in the credits of the movie for just as little as $5 to help make this movie happen. So you can check out all of our different perks that we have, from signed MMA gloves, posters. You can actually get, this one's going hot, so we only got a few of these left. You can actually have your face on a fight poster in the movie. Like you or your grandma or whoever you want, and we'll show it actually in the movie. So, anyways, there's a lot of great perks there. We want to try to get to that number. So, if you can't contribute, just share it. That's all, and that's really all we ask is like, let's try to get as many eyes on this as possible, because I think it's a great story. It's going to hit a lot of people, and we're going to have some badass martial arts, mixed martial arts action in there. So thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate it. And we'll do this again.
Come back whenever you want, man. And best of luck to you, man. And thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, guys. Take care, man. Appreciate you guys.
See ya. Thank you, Matt. Awesome.
That was great, man. That was a great combo. I am going to donate because I want the clout of having my name in the credits.
There you go. Hey, can you hold the reins for a couple of minutes? I got to get a drink of Pete.
Okay.